Hi there, my name is Kelly Barron. I'm a psychotherapist and a hypnotherapist in Boulder, Colorado, and I see clients both online and in my office here in Boulder. And today I wanted to talk with you about triggers and a couple trigger hacks that you can use in the moment to really help bring yourself out of that triggered state when you find yourself there. So how do we recognize a trigger and how do we work with it within ourselves? So I want to start first by defining what is a trigger. So quite simply, a trigger is experiencing a strong emotional reaction. It could be fear, shock, anger, jealousy, embarrassment, anxiety, insecurity, worry, whatever the feeling is. It's an intense emotion that happens unexpectedly out of the blue. And something happens to trigger unprocessed emotions that are already living within our system. It's living in our body. It's living in our cells. And a really great book is The Body Never Lies. That's a really great book for looking at triggers and trauma, because we actually hold the experience of unresolved issues in the molecular biology in the cells of our body. And unless we process it, it just stays there, which is why in everyday circumstances it can get easily triggered. So you're in the middle of a conversation, someone says something to you, someone does something, someone shares something with you, you receive an email from your boss. It could be anything. You're having a conversation with a family member, a coworker, a friend, a lover, a spouse, and boom, you get triggered. You get that flood of emotion that just overcomes you and you don't know what's going on. So if it wasn't already in your system, it would not be able to be triggered. And so although it may appear that the current situation is the issue to deal with, in reality it's not. That's just the surface issue. That's just the messenger letting you know that you have unresolved feelings from the past that are now being activated here in the present moment. And this trigger comes in the form of flight, fight, or freeze. So your reptilian brain stem gets activated. That's the part back here where the base of your neck and head meet, and you are no longer operating from your rational mind. And when this happens, you're just off to the races, right? You literally become hijacked by a flood of chemicals and hormones, and you're no longer you, the high functioning best version of yourself. And so what's happening, it's very biological in nature what's going on. Your nervous system gets triggered into that fight, flight, or freeze response. Something is telling you at a very physiological level that you're not safe and you need to protect yourself. And you're going to protect yourself in one of three ways, depending on how you're wired. You'll either fight, and when this happens, your sympathetic nervous system gets activated and you go into action mode. So when I say fight, I mean more action. Although, you're not necessarily going to physically get into an altercation or a fist fight, but you're going to go into action mode. You're going to go towards the stimulus. You're not going to go away from it. So that's what's called fight in the fight, flight, or response. You're going to go towards the situation. Signs of this include becoming frantic, running around like a chicken with your head cut off, talking very, very fast, looping, saying the same things over and over again and not hearing another person talk to you in that moment. The second way you're going to protect yourself is flight. Your body tells you it's not safe, and you're physically going to get up and leave the situation. And more often than not, without telling the other person what's going on, you're just going to be like, I'm out of here, and boom, you're gone. And ghosting. Ghosting is a great example, whether physically or electronically on text. Ghosting is a great example of flight. And this is also an activation of your sympathetic nervous system. The third way you're going to protect yourself is freeze. And it's kind of like being that deer in headlights. You can't speak, you can't move, you're just simply frozen, you don't know what to do. And this is actually the parasympathetic nervous system kicking into gear, and it literally slows everything down physiologically. Signs of this are lethargy, talking very, very slow, very quiet. You feel the energy just come down dramatically. And unlike in the previous two versions where you feel an increase, a surge in energy. So how do we work with ourselves when we're triggered? How do we bring healing to ourselves? And I'm going to call this the time out moment. You're going to take a time out, right? So stop what you're doing, stop what you're talking about, and deal with the trigger right then and there. Rationalizing is only going to make it worse because you're not in your rational mind. You're actually in your limbic mind. So let's just go right into dealing with that limbic mind. There are two fast and easy ways to deal with triggers. These are trigger hacks that I use all the time with myself, with clients, with friends. They're amazing. So if a person is in a fight or flight response, or you find yourself in that fight or flight response, a great way to bring yourself back, to soothe yourself, to heal yourself, to just neutralize that trigger is ice. So placing ice in the back of your head to really slow down the flood of emotions coming up on your forehead, on the top of your head, on your face even. Oftentimes just holding ice in your hands, putting ice on your wrist, putting ice on your heart. It's just going to really slow down that trigger and bring you back to baseline, right? And this can take anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes depending on how deep the trigger is. And for the other version, if you're in that lethargy, that slow down, that really, really slow and quiet space, having that parasympathetic experience, what's going to help you, your trigger hack for you or someone that you're with is going to be heat. So whether that's placing like one of those belly buddies that you can put in the microwave and put it on your heart, or put it anywhere that feels good, your stomach, the back of your neck, your face. If you don't have access to a belly buddy, you can just use like a hot washcloth, or you can just throw yourself in a nice warm bath. So these are my trigger hacks for you. I hope they're helpful, and I hope that you're able to really bring yourself just that loving self-care moment when you find yourself triggered. It will help both you and the other person that you're with, I guarantee. Okay, take care.